Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I decided to talk about Crystal Beasts. We're going to be focusing on the introduction of the support released in the structure deck because Crystal Beasts are actually seeing competitive play right now, so we are going to be focusing mainly on the support. We're also going to be mentioning cards that work in tandem with the Crystal Beast deck right now. It's sort of best version, and we're going to look at a sample deck list, also cards that work in tandem with the entire deck that may not be in archetype, and all of that. So before we get started, I just want to shout out my patrons: Dudley Reiner, Crimson, Consular, 10, Nude Banner, Jonah Rodriguez, Ariel Kersey, and Roik Air. I'm very much grateful for your support, and if any of you guys want to support me on Patreon, you can always find the link in the description below. So Crystal Beasts were an archetype from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. It's a very nostalgic archetype, and all of us probably know about it already. Rainbow Dragon is an incredible boss monster. So there's 7 Crystal Beast monsters that were also in the anime, but a new one was also released later on. We're going to talk about it. But the effect they have in common is when they are destroyed in the monster zone, they can be placed face up in the spell and trap card zone as continuous spells. So that's why they work in tandem with Rainbow Dragon, which of course must be special summoned by you having 7 or more with different names Crystal Beast cards in your graveyard or on your field. So Rainbow Dragon could be summoned. People also played Hamon back in the day because its summoning requirement is for you to send 3 face-up continuous spells from the field to the graveyard, and since they're treated as continuous spells, you could use the Crystal Beast. But after receiving some support, which was really nice, they still couldn't see the competitive play that we would all want them to see, because again, it's a very loved archetype, and right now with the release of the structure deck, not only did we receive support, but also the cards from before, which were the aforementioned support, became cheaper because everything got reprinted in there and all of the support is also in the structure deck. So now we're going to talk about the support. Basically, we received a new fusion monster, which is a level 12 Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive, and its materials are 1 Ultimate Crystal monster plus 7 Crystal Beast monsters, but it must be special summoned from the extra deck during a duel in which you already special summoned an Ultimate Crystal monster. And how you summon it is you banish the above materials from your field and or graveyard. So there are combos. There is a 2-card combo, although I do think, and people also say this, that the Overdrive Turbo or the combo version is not as great for the competitive play because you essentially need to play a lot of Crystal Beast cards, which are quote-unquote bricks if you look at it that way. They're just there for you to have all of the different names to summon Rainbow Dragon because it's treated as an Ultimate Crystal card, and then you can summon the Overdrive. So in the opinion of a lot of people, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, the other version, which we're going to be discussing later on in the video, is the best one for competitive play, and it's called Conclave Control. People sort of named it that way because Conclave is their trap card, but those are all old cards, so we're going to focus on the support first. So the actual effect of this card, after you summon it, while 7 or more Crystal Beast monsters with different names are banished, this card gains 7,000 attack, and if it has not battled this turn, as a quick effect, you're able to tribute it and shuffle as many cards on the field as possible into the deck, and if you do, you special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters, which you're going to have a lot of them banished for its summoning procedure. So it has a really nice effect. It has a lot of attack and just seems like a very solid boss monster next to the Rainbow Dragon, the Rainbow Over Dragon, which we knew from before. And then next up, we have 3 spell cards and 3 trap cards. So in total, they received 7 support cards, and the continuous one when it comes to spells is just honestly amazing. It's called Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, and basically it grants you an additional normal summon for a Crystal Beast monster, and then its second effect is that during your main phase you can destroy a Crystal Beast card you control, which if you destroy the monster, it's obviously going to go to the spell and trap card zone, so you didn't really lose anything, and then you can add a Crystal Beast spell trap from your deck to your hand. So it gives you an additional normal summon, searches for a spell or trap card, but that's not all. It has a third effect, and it says that if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, even during the damage step, you're able to bounce this card from the field and a card your opponent controls. Honestly, with 3 amazing effects, it seems like amazing support, but they even received so many more things, and we're going to cover the quick play spell card now, which is probably the best one out of all of them, and it's called Awakening of the Crystal Ultimate. So basically, you need to reveal an Ultimate Crystal monster in your hand and then activate one of these effects, but if you control an Ultimate Crystal monster, you can activate 1 or 2 in sequence, and you also don't need to review. So it has a specific requirement for you to even activate it, but through the effect of another monster, you're able to acquire that ultimate crystal monster in your hands. So this one is almost always going to be live. And basically one of the two effects it has is that you're able to take a Rainbow Bridge card or a Rainbow Refraction, and you either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And then the second effect is that you can special summon a Crystal Beast monster, just special summon from the deck, just for the cost of you revealing the ultimate crystal monster, which I said you are searching and adding to your hand consistently almost. So it's easy to activate and it's just amazing. And we also have another one, which is just a normal spell card, and it's called Crystal Aegis. Now this one is probably the worst one out of all of them. I haven't really seen it in people's builds, but what it does is that you target a Crystal Beast monster card you control, you destroy it, and you special summon a token which has its actual the same stats. And then a lot of those support cards you're going to see is they have an additional effect, and it's the same among all of them. And it basically says that if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone while this card is in the graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish this card and then you get an effect. So the effects are all different, but the first part is the same. So if something is placed, you banish the card, you get an effect. And for the Crystal Aegis specifically, you're able to special summon a Crystal Beast monster card from your spell and trap card zone. Alright, and then we have the trap cards as well. So the normal trap card, Crystal Boon, says that you special summon up to 2 Crystal Beast monsters from your spell and trap card zone, and then if you do, you gain life points equal to their combined attack. And then the second effect, which we mentioned already, if something is placed, you banish this card, you get an effect. And what this card grants you is you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a Crystal Beast monster, you either add it to your hand or special summon it, and if it's not, you just send it to the graveyard. And then we have the counter trap card. Now this one I think is amazing. I love it when archetypes just receive in-archetype negates, because this is something a lot of decks are lacking on their end board specifically. And since in the Crystal Beast deck, you search spell and trap cards so easily with the new support card we already mentioned, but you have other ways of searching it. So you get to the Crystal Miracle, it's called, very, very easily. And basically it's a counter trap card which negates a spell trap card or monster effect. You destroy a Crystal Beast card you control, you negate the activation, you destroy the card. And obviously because they go in the spell and trap card zone, like we mentioned, again, you don't lose anything. You just move it to the spell and trap card zone. And then its second effect, again, if something is placed, you banish this card, you get an effect. The effect is that you're able to place a Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap card zone. So again, you get 2 of them to the spell and trap card zone just by using this card. And the second effect is actually the only one that's a hard once per turn. So if you have multiple Crystal Miracles, you're able to negate multiple cards, which usually counter trap cards do have a hard once per turn clause, but this one doesn't. As well as the normal trap card, actually, like only the second part of the effect is a hard once per turn, but it doesn't really see play anyway, so as doesn't the continuous trap card, but we're also going to be mentioning you can only control one of them though, and it says that each Crystal Beast monster gains attack equal to its defense. And then if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, even during the damage step, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard and you special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard. Also, any damage you take this turn is halved. So those would be all of the support cards. So what they are granting the deck is a new boss monster, you're getting a special summon from the deck, you're getting an additional normal summon, you're getting a negate, and it's just a lot of amazing additions to the deck. And that's why it's seeing competitive play on top of you having access to the now cheap cards from before. And the cards I wanted to mention are specifically Crystal Bond, which is just you add a Crystal Beast monster from your deck to your hand, and then you also place one in the spell and trap card zone, but it cannot be with the same name. Now this one is a hard once per turn, but overall, like, Crystal Beast effects, they're old cards, so they don't really have a hard once per turn clause. That's why you're able to do some very amazing, just big combos, because none of them are hard once per turn. So if you special summon them multiple times, you get all of their effects multiple times. So that's really, really nice. And then another card, again, not a hard once per turn, is Rainbow Bridge, and it just searches for a crystal spell trap from your deck to your hand. So like I said, you have a lot of access to your cards, which is just really, really nice. So before, I already mentioned it, but right now the more control build is focused on a specific trap card called Crystal Conclave, and its effect is that once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster you control is destroyed either by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your deck. So not only do you move one to the spell and trap card zone after it's been destroyed, you get a new one from the deck, and then the other effect, which is the best one, and it's why this card is so good, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, and then you can bounce a Crystal Beast card you control and a card on the field. So again, a bouncing effect, but it's not once per turn. So if you control multiple Crystal Conclaves, you're able to bounce multiple cards, because the only restriction is that you cannot use both of the effects in the same chain. So you're able to activate both of them, not in the same chain though, but you do send the face-up card to the grave after, like, for doing the second effect. So you need to have multiples of them if you want to actually bounce multiple times. But again, it's not that hard to establish because you search for your spell and trap cards a lot. So that's the Crystal Conclave I wanted to mention. And then the other card, which is also seeing play, some builds play it, some don't. I think it's really nice, but the fun thing about it is that it's actually seeing more play in a meta deck, which is Tearlament. So it has nothing to do with Crystal Beast, but the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation is the card I'm mentioning, and it was released in the 2022 Megatins, and it's basically Crystal Beast support. But since its effect is that you're able to banish it from the graveyard and search for any field spell and a Crystal Beast monster, you can play it in the Tearlament deck, search for an Emerald Tortoise, and because it's Aqua, you're able to utilize it in the combo alongside the field spell Pearl Rhinos. So in the Crystal Beast deck, however, you're able to search cards like Mystic Mine and Necro Valley, because Crystal Beast, essentially what the strategy does is just spams out a lot of bodies, because you have the special summon from the deck. The Crystal Beast Ruby Carbuncle actually summons all of the cards from the spell and trap card zone, so immediately you get like 2, 3, 4 bodies on the field, and you're able to go into something like Abyss Dweller with it, Apollousa, IP. You have this big toolbox in the extra deck because your Crystal Beasts are either level 4 or level 3. So with the level 3 ones, you actually have Cherubini combos that you're able to go for to turbo out the Overdrive, which we already mentioned. You play Foolish Burial Goods in the deck as well to work in tandem with it. The trap card does have like an on-field effect, of course, and it just says that if there are 2 or more different monster types among the level 10 or higher monsters on the field, you shuffle all cards except this one from both players' hands, fields, and graveyard into the deck. Then each player draws 5 cards. So it just basically resets the game, which is really interesting, but you're not really going to be using this effect. It's just there to send it to the graveyard to fetch the field spell. So we're going to go over the last card, and then I also wanted to mention, since we already touched upon the field spells and stuff, I also wanted to mention a couple cards that you're able to run alongside this deck. Or actually, I could just mention it right now because the only important one is going to be Dimension Shifter. Since you don't really care about your cards being banished or stuck in the graveyard, or like, yeah, Mystic Mine, sure, you know, you're still controlling the game, you don't really get hindered by any of it. So the deck can run Dimension Shifter, which is an amazing oppressive card in this format right now, and also that's why it's as successful as it is, in my opinion. So as for the last card that we need to go over is the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Basically, if this face-up card is destroyed in a monster zone, you place it in the spell and trap card zone as well as the other Crystal Beast cards, but this one is just a newer one. And then it also has the effect when an attack is declared involving your Crystal Beast monster, you're just able to special summon this card from your hand. And then its best effect, when it's in the spell and trap card zone, you can banish it while it's treated as a face-up continuous spell, and you special summon a level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but you do negate its effect. So that's not really a downside because you do get that body out, and you also, as the second part of the effect, after you special summon it, it says, and if you do, you search for an ultimate crystal monster, and that's how you get to the Rainbow Dragon. So essentially, when you have cards like Crystal Bond, where it's able to search you for a Crystal Beast, place another one, you can just place the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, you activate the effect, you special summon one of them, you get the Rainbow Dragon, and immediately if you drew the Awakening of the Ultimate Crystals alongside Crystal Bond. Basically, it's just a 2-card combo. You're able to reveal the Rainbow Dragon so you can legally activate the Awakening of the Ultimate Crystals, and you get an additional monster, and then you can start spamming the board, activating all of your effects, and that's only 2 cards. So to give you some kind of ideas, I'll just show you a deck list. I actually featured it in my competitive budget decks video. If you haven't checked that one out already, make sure to check it out because it has a lot of information in it. But basically, this is the second place case tournament deck list, and that's sort of the conclave control I was talking about. So you have all of your best spell cards, so that being Crystal Bond, the 2 support cards, the Rainbow Bridge, which searches for their spell and trap cards, the Foolish Burial Goods to go alongside the Rainbow Bridge, which searches for your field spells. You have the Conclave, you have the Counter Trap card, and then you have a couple hand traps and the Shifter in the side deck. You can play it however you want it. And then you have, for the Crystal Beast monsters, just the Pegasus, which has the best effect. When I popped it on the screen before, you were able to read it. Basically, it just places one in the spell and trap card zone. So you're able to actually place the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon if you haven't gotten to it yet. And then the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon can just search for the Rainbow Dragon, which you already play. You can special summon the other Crystal Beast, Sapphire Pegasus. And then at the end, when you go for the Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates, you're just able to special summon Ruby Carbuncle, which has the other best effect. Like Sapphire Pegasus and Ruby are probably the best one out of all of them. And when it's summoned, you're able to special summon the continuous spell cards Crystal Beast monsters. So the one from the spell and trap card zones, you special summon them out, and then you have about 4 bodies on the field, and you're able to go for Dweller alongside something like IP. You still have cards in hand to like continue playing, or just go into Unicorn later, pitch one of the cards from hand. You have Appaloosa, you have easy access to Underworld Goddess. There's also Zeus plays because you're able to play a lot of Xyz monsters. So you can go for, I love the little package of the Zodiac monsters. I think that's really, really smart because it's just so easy to summon, so easy to go into Zeus and just slap another Zodiac on top of it and you're good. You can just Zeus. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the deck. I hope I gave you some kind of idea as to how it's looking like right now. I'm so hyped, like I'm genuinely so hyped for the deck to actually do something, to do well in 2022. It's like, if you watch GX, I'm sure it's this very nostalgic feeling for you as well. And I love seeing it as it's so budget that you're able to just pick it up if you want to, because it's not the most competitive deck. So it wouldn't really make sense for it to have a huge price tag, and it's just nice, you know, it just feels really good and satisfying to just play something like Crystal Beast and actually be able to do quite well. I think it's great. And I mentioned it's budget. You do have prosperity in here because it's nice to have consistency. But still, it's not the most important thing if you just want to play Crystal Beast and have fun. So hopefully you learned something from this video. Hopefully you got some kind of knowledge, information. And of course, if you liked it, like it, sub to the channel, check out all the social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.